Can you tell me what it was that started this whole episode in your life where you pulled up your tent pegs and moved to China?
I've just spent probably the most incredible 3 years of my life in China, working amongst the abandoned disabled children there. But that's a drastic change from what life was before that. I'm used to being on the other side of the camera and spent my lifetime in the film and television industry. One of our major focuses during that time was to make films giving a voice to the voiceless people. And we travelled to lots of places around the world just to see the need of orphans and widows and people in different situations. And I guess our heart was touched that there was such a big need in the world, and we did what we could. So around 4 years ago, my wife and I felt that we were getting close to the end of our working life, although we still had heaps of energy left. And we wanted to finish well. We wanted to go and live in a place, in another culture, and make a difference to the lives of children who, if we didn't go and help them, they would have no hope and no opportunity and no future. So we moved to what China would call a small town of 3 million people, and we lived on the outskirts of that town and worked amongst these beautiful children. We were grandma and granddad to 160 beautiful kids, all of them once abandoned, once rejected because they were considered not good enough, not well enough to stay in their families, by their own families. And we saw these children go from children who had felt they had no ability, they had never known love, to children who were beautiful, not only receivers of love and life, but givers of love and life. Before we went to China, it was difficult for me to understand how or why a parent could actually abandon a child. Until I got there and realised that for many of these parents, they have a child, they know that child desperately needs medical help, they've been told it has a liver complaint, they know it has a heart complaint, but they just have no option at all. They earn very little. We see a lot of the rich China on our television sets, but there is the rural area, semi-rural area where it's very poor. They have no choice. They cannot do anything with this child except abandon the child and hope that through connections with the government and through other organisations, the child may be one day adopted to America, where they can have the facilities, or a donor will pay for a liver transplant within Beijing or Shanghai and in more western towns of China. But they have no choice, and I think sometimes the parents do this very, very reluctantly, and we think they must be heartbroken. We had one mother come to our door one day just weeping and weeping because the child obviously, it was very jaundiced, obviously needed an operation. The child was the fourth child in the family, which is not allowed, so the child couldn't be registered there. And she was just heartbroken. She wanted to give the baby to someone who could take care of her.
So a good friend, yeah. One of the guys who brought so much life and love to ICC since he's been here, since October 2014. He was in welfare for a long time, and he was one of those guys who you just could tell was longing to come to ICC. My memory of him is when we had short-term teams in, and it was just a delight to see his excitement at being able to run and play and have one-on-one attention. The biggest problem was getting him back in at the end of the day. It's been obvious since the day he arrived here that he's just grabbed the opportunity with both hands. He's just taken to family life and become a very important part of the family and brought a lot of love and joy to that family. He loves art and craft. He just loves the adventure of being able to find new things to do. He's just about to start special education. All these opportunities he just loves, and he's made the most of it. And you can see a smile on his face. He just loves being part of ICC.
My wife and I came back in June very reluctantly. We had some health issues that we had to come back and deal with, and because of insurance requirements we were unable to stay in the country, and we were fairly heartbroken at leaving the children. There was lots of tears, and we just felt, how do we come back and settle after that great experience? But over the last month been appointed to a role with International China Concern, a member care role. So we have 40 incredible Western people working in China. They're wonderful, committed people who have a career in physiotherapy and occupational therapy in teaching, but they've given up their life to go and work as volunteers, some of them for 15 years, some of them for 5 years. Those guys need to be cared for as much as the children, in a sense, because of the stress they're under, emotionally and professionally. And our role now is to care for them, to Skype them often, to go visit them every 3 months, which means we get to go back to our grandchildren, our Chinese grandchildren, every 3 months, and we're caring for them. So we're still very much involved in the work. Our heart will always be for those kids, and we can now serve them in a slightly different way, but still a very worthwhile way.
This is Xiao Mei, that's her nickname anyway, it means pretty little thing. She came to the Welfare Centre in 2013. She was about 5.5 years old. And it's actually really cool to see her chatting this much because she didn't used to do that. She was just so shy, big eyes and very reluctant to join in the activities. I was so excited when I heard she was one of the ones joining ICC. Knowing that she was not only going to have access to continue her classes, but that she could join a family was just fantastic. And she's shown a real heart for the other kids. She's really become a big sister in her family. I've actually seen her down on the floor just stroking the other girls' heads or covering them with blankets. Just seeing how much progress she's made since joining ICC, I think she can keep growing and eventually be a wonderful young woman.
Now I'm back in Australia, back in Melbourne, back in the Yarraranges and standing on the banks of Lilydale Lake. I moved to realise what a strong connection there is between this very spot and the need in China, because every year Lilydale Lake is the venue for a project we call Walk the Wall. It's something that started about 10 years ago when we attempted to find around the world enough people who would walk 10 kilometres on one day to equal the length of the Great Wall of China, to bring awareness to the needs in China and awareness and walk just for love for these kids. That's grown. Last year, the Walk the Wall around the world, it was in 8 countries, 34 walks, and we equaled the Wall of China 4 times. So Lilydale is part of that. That's one of the locations, one of the 34 walks around the world where we encourage people just to come and walk for 10 kilometres. The walk around the lake is a convenient 2.5 kilometres, so we walk that 4 times. It takes about 2 hours. It's a great walk, but it's a great talk because you get to meet other people in the community and just get a chance to chat and talk. So it's a walk and it's a talk and it's a bless. It's 10 kilometres, a blessing for the children. It's a fundraiser. It's a sponsored walk, and that's all set up on the web, so it's not about chasing people for money, it's about just pointing them to a website. Last year we raised $450,000 on the walk. We're hoping this year to be over $500,000, and it's critical money that we need to feed the children, to pay the local staff we employ, to give them a life. And it's just a wonderful way that people who can't go and live there for 3 years or don't have heaps of money that they can give, they can come out for a very pleasant walk, which there's not a place better in the world to walk. I think we've got the best Walk the Wall in the world around this lake. It's just beautiful, making great people and at the same time making a huge difference. We're trusting that, the bridge behind me, there'll be 100 people walking over that on October the 17th this year, which is our Saturday morning walk. And I'll be walking it in China. We're going back to China to do the walk there. But I'll be thinking of all you guys walking around the lake here.